garden enthusiasts. I know it's been a long time. I think it's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4. But there wasn't that much stuff happening, or it was happening really slowly because it's been super, super cold here. It's just been windy all the time. And I don't mean like a nice light breeze. Like today, it's just sort of breezy. I mean, it's windy. And so actually it was so windy that a lot of my beans, the top snapped off. And it's not been a great time for filming. I've also been busy, not with doing anything incredibly important, but just things, you know, that come up in life. Some of the things, some of the setbacks that I've had with my garden are mostly dog related. So twice now, all the dogs decided to hunt a squirrel underneath my raised beds, and of course in the process dug up everything and pulled off some boards. The first time they pulled off some boards and dug up a little bit of the yard, and then the second most recent time they actually dug out all my potatoes. So all the potatoes are gone now. I did have a little potato harvest, which was pretty cool, but yeah, that's sort of boring. I actually wonder if I could show you my phone screen, so I'm gonna try. So we did harvest the garlics finally, and did a terrible job at braiding them, but this is them, which you maybe can see, maybe not, probably won't focus. So I'm just gonna insert that picture. Then I did have a few beginnings in my cucumbers and my squash. So all my cucumbers, they get about 1 inch long and then nothing happens because I think they're just not being pollinated. And I go around and I sort of artificially pollinate, which it works okay. I did it with my zucchinis, and I do have some zucchinis, although they're growing kind of strange or just not very big. So I also think that they're not being sufficiently pollinated is the other thing. Then I've just kind of been following the progress of those things. I'm mostly excited about getting some cucumbers, but I've just had nothing. The biggest cucumber fruit that I have is like this big. It's like 1 inch. Then I started pulling a lot of carrots. They were still pretty small, but I was mostly just trying to thin them out. And then now they're kind of getting bigger. And I do have a little carrot harvest video that I can also put in here just so you can see when I harvested my potatoes and my carrots. All my trellises have been growing up pretty nicely, just really slow, but it's just because it's been so cold. Every time that there's like a warm spurt in the weather, which usually lasts a day or two and it's like 80 something degrees, it's crazy how much everything grows. But it really, I mean, it's barely been in the 70s, which is insane because normally the summers here are really hot. Then I, in the meantime, also bought a scooter because why not? I'm pretty sure that everyone on the streets here is horrified because I'm scooting around now. Then I pulled up all the beets and I boiled them and I made a beet salad. So I had 1 beet salad after growing beets for months. But I'm gonna try again in the fall. The berries around here have been starting to get ripe, which has been great. And I've been walking through the cherry orchards, and right now is cherry picking time, and we've been making a ton of berry jam. So that's pretty cool. I only had a few berries to use and then a ton of cherries, so we're still working on it. I think I myself pitted almost 60 pounds of cherries this weekend. Luckily I didn't pick them all by myself, but I did pit them. I mean, I was offered help, but it's sort of therapeutic to pit cherries. Then I found a butterfly. Well, I didn't find it, a coworker of mine found it, and I was trying to keep it alive, but I think a dog chomped it or something, and it was like, had lost the back part of its wings, and it was really sad, and it didn't like any of the sugar water that I gave it. My flowers, or I guess my petunias, are going crazy. They're loving it. The sunflowers are blooming, so I'm gonna show those to you in a minute. I'm actually gonna walk over there and show you. I'm gonna do like a super fast walk-through garden tour just so you can see where everything's at. But mostly I just wanted to catch you up on where everything is right now, because I'm gonna insert those pictures. Then I went on a little camping trip just to get out of here, since finally now, after everything quarantined, this is making me feel insane. And I hate it. But anyway, I digress. I did also, this is very sad news. I made a little path around this berry bush where I was picking a lot of berries so that I could use them to make jam. And then the neighbors got unhappy because it was too close to their house. Anyway, I'm really heartbroken about it, so I'm not gonna say anything more about it. And yeah, so other than that, I've just been harvesting things. I mean little things like carrots, beets, some very, very tiny squash. And then obviously the potatoes, the little red potatoes that I planted that were growing great because the dogs dug them up. And I mean, they just like pulled the plants totally out of the dirt. So I couldn't save them. I really tried, but I couldn't. But you know, it is what it is. Then I think that's about it. After kind of rescuing my my planter bed for a second time after a second dog attack. Actually, really, I blame the squirrels. And after rescuing for a second time, I covered up the little open area where I think the squirrels were living. So I hope there won't be any more problems. So now I'm gonna take you around the yard. I'm gonna show you everything. I definitely pulled out a lot of stuff, like the lettuces that were bolting. So I'm gonna show you where we're at right now, and then I'm gonna plant some more stuff later also. So I'll show you all of that. Here is my yummy, yummy raspberry bush. The raspberries on this bush look really strange, but they are so tasty. So they just look kind of odd, you know, if it's gonna focus. I don't know, they don't look like your average well-shaped raspberries. And then this little bush here is finally starting to kind of produce new leaves, which is interesting because it's really taken its time all year. My parsley's finally doing well, but you notice I took out the lettuces here. My little snugmorial is doing great now that I started watering again. My feverfew is just going crazy, as are my petunias. My sweet little Paco, just being perfect as usual. Then the kale hasn't really done much. It's just sort of frozen in time. I've been harvesting this oregano a lot and drying it, which is amazing. It's so much better than the store-bought oregano. And my chives, of course, reliably are doing great. Then over here, my little climbing plants are doing pretty well. They're also blooming. I did plant some fresh stuff down here. It just hasn't come up yet. I planted some purple pole beans, I think. Same here. They just haven't come up yet. But everything else is doing pretty well. These are my Thunbergias. But see, so this is what the wind does. It'll just kind of snap off the ends of little climbing things, which is a real shame. Then here is my ananas tomato thingy that still doesn't really have any tomatoes. It's just got the blooms, so that's going to start producing pretty soon. These are the plants that I bought today to plant in my yard. So I've got some ground cherries. I've never had them. I don't know what they taste like, but I'm sure they'll be good. And some zinnias and some more petunias and a cucumber because I'm giving in, so I just bought one at the store. And this is all looking kind of sad. I did water this morning, but because it's been so warm and I think it's not used to the heat, it's kind of hitting it a bit harder. There's my one single nice squash. Everyone else is kind of deformed and strange. Then everything here is doing pretty well. My little tomatoes here, which is one of the ones that I rescued from the garden, is doing really well, and here has some little baby tomatoes also, so that's cool. No fruit though that's doing very well. So I do get all of these, but then they don't get pollinated, and then they just sort of die and drop off, which is a shame. Same here. I do have one little squash that's growing, or zucchini that's growing, but not doing too much, honestly. Here's my Tachi cucumber that I'm so excited for, but again, due to what I suspect is a lack of pollinators, you can see a couple cucumbers down here, but it's not really that much happening. So the sunflowers look amazing, and this is one of the really big ones that broke off. It's just made little baby sunflowers, and it's got a ton growing here. Little baby petunia's doing great. Honeysuckle's doing great. These raspberry bushes that I bought like 2 or 3 months ago at Walmart for $8.99. I mean, they are just exploding. I'm super happy about them. I got a bunch of little tomatoes down here. Got all my really large sunflowers up here. And here is my one single pollinator, who I think maybe should be working a little harder. Like, that would be great. Do me a favor. And here's another one. Then here is my beautiful baby, the Paul Robeson tomato. These tomatoes down here have been growing pretty well, and I'm guarding them with my life. You best believe that I yell at any dog that comes near this plant. And I've got some more little babies coming up there, and I got some here. And then I got another tomato that's sort of stuck in here, which I'm just letting it grow kind of into this forsythia bush, which is fine. And it's going to have plants also. This is one of the volunteers that came up. And then here's my little pole bean that I'm just kind of looping through this trellis. So I ripped out a ton of stuff out of all these beds. So let's start here. I still got my carrots, but I'm going to pull those as soon as I finished eating the others that I pulled out. I pulled out all the bok choy that was growing here because it was being eaten by something else. So I pulled it out. I do have a video of that also. And then there's my one single kohlrabi that's doing really well, but it's also just the one. Then here I've got some tomatoes where the volunteers that I got down in the other bed, I just moved them up here. Then this is the bed that was attacked by the dogs. So I'm going to insert the video of the situation that I found. I don't know actually if it's a video or pictures, but yeah, they had back here, it was, it was all tomatoes. And I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that? Those are definitely dog footprints. And I bet you I know which dog it was. So that's annoying. So I don't know if I'm actually going to plant anything there or what to do because they just ruin it every single time. But my little trellis, which now it's sort of pointless to have, is doing really quite well. Some of the beans that were growing up here, the wind sort of blew and killed them. You know, the wind just sort of chops off the top of them. But I just, you know, let them grow some more and then wrap them around to try and give them some stability, which works pretty well actually. But yeah, I do have some fruits. Like here I have one that's doing pretty well and a little baby that's starting to grow here, but that's kind of it. And I feel like historically I've had more success than this tiny little plant, whatever it is being such a slow grower. And I built it this nice trellis thinking that it might like that, but I don't know. None of the plants are super into what I've done up here, I feel like. Here's one of the little beans. Oh, one of the beans. I don't know if you can see. Let me get out of the way here. It's actually, it's dead. Man, that is so sad. But I'm just going to leave it covered up. See maybe if that can salvage itself. Then I got another little bean coming up here, which seems to be doing much better. Okay, so there's hope, I guess. And then I just kind of come around and pluck the weeds. My parsley's doing well. You know, at least there's something. I'm going to take the little things here. Then over here, my arugula is still doing super well. This little bean. Then this bed that I actually wasn't going to plant, but ended up planting after all, after the dogs dug it all up. And you can see what it looked like when they dug it up, and it sort of seemed a bit hopeless, but I just thought, you know, why not? I have all these tomatoes and I'm gonna use them. And that tomato also has this interesting thing. Do you see that right there? That's gonna be an interesting looking tomato, let me tell you. So yeah, so I got all of these plants in here. I also planted some beans. In fact, one of them has started to try and come up here, but again, something's eating it, or I don't know if it's just the wind blowing against it, harming it. It's just not, I don't know. Things aren't working out that well this year. And yeah, so I just got a bunch of tomatoes, and I don't know if it's squash or zucchini or what that's growing in here. I just kind of put all the leftovers that I had in my greenhouse. But yeah, that's it. So I'm going to plant the other plants that I bought today, but I really need to think about where I want to put the ground cherries because I don't want them to grow for a long time just to have the dogs ruin them. So I might put up a fence around my beds before I plant anything new, just so the dogs can't get at my stuff. Alright, so that's it for my garden tour this week. I'm going to be better about filming, and I'm going to film something for next week also. I'm not going to include the footage of my new plants that I'm going to put in, just because I haven't decided yet where I'm going to put everything, or if I'm even going to put it up there, if I'm going to put up a fence first. So I really have to sort of think about that, because as the paw prints prove, these dogs just, like, they don't learn, you know. I mean, I get it, it's interesting, it's like a fun play tower for them or something, but I just wish they would respect my garden a little more and just be like, oh no, she's putting a lot of work into this, so maybe let's not ruin it for her. But that's about it. So I hope that you enjoyed all the pictures and that was informative. It's just like a catch up on what's going on in the yard right now. Let me know down in the comments if you would also like to see like some berry tours, because the berries are about to get ripe here, like the wild berries. If you've never had a thimbleberry, you should probably have one. But yeah, if you'd like to see like a blackberry picking tour or something, we have a lot of berries around here. I could always do that for you. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you would like to, and hit the like button on this video, and I'll see you in my next one.